Alright, and we're back. So, welcome back to the Underrated Gems Movie Club. Today, we will be breaking down the 1980s classic, sci-fi classic, Robocop. So, let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, so like I said, Robocop. We will be dealing with Robocop today. Hopefully, levels are fine. I was having a little bit of an issue earlier. Hopefully, everything's cool. But before we get into it, as always, like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Who knows? Maybe I'll do more of these. You know, if the success keeps rolling, the success keeps going, we will be starting with a bit of trivia, movie trivia, like we usually do. Since we're watching an 80s movie, and it's a sci-fi movie, well, I'm trying to keep it in 80s sci-fi. So that will be the theme of the trivia for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If not, well, I enjoyed making it, so screw you. Before we get in there, let me just remind everybody of the calendar real quick. I mean, I'm just doing this very quickly so we can, give people time to join if they want to do it, if they want to be a part of the game. But very quickly, I'll break down the calendar for Underrated Gems moving forward. Like I said, Underrated Gems now will take place on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Today, we will be speaking about the 1987 Robocop. Next week, again, Wednesday, August 9th, we will be talking about Wind River. We'll be going through Wind River. This is a movie starring Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch. Came out in 2017. You can watch it for free on Hoopla, Pluto with ads, or Freevee with ads. I don't know what those are. And by the way, you can probably rent all these on Prime. But the movie is basically a murder that takes place in the middle of frickin' nowhere in the U.S. in a Native American resort. And, they have to go and try to figure out what happened. So it's actually a phenomenal film. I really like it. It really gets you, into hunting and stuff. Next, following that, on the 16th, we will be watching the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 movie. I'm pretty sure you know what this is, the live-action version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the good one. Next, we will be watching The Count of Monte Cristo, the 2002 version, on August 23rd. You can watch that on Hoopla. By the way, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you can watch that on HBO Max. And by the way, I just realized that I'm talking about movies and I don't even have the clips up. Damn it! Fool of a toque. But yeah, for free on Hoopla, and again, you can probably rent it somewhere else. After that, we will be watching The Outsiders and on the 1983 version. And finally, we will that's how we end August, and we will begin September with Into the Wild. Again, I just announced this movie, and I'm kind of setting up the calendar for the rest of the year. I won't be telling you straight, like every single time what the whole calendar is going to be. But I think it's looking pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do one film, like one decade every week. So in a month, we would get something 80s, 90s, early 2000s, or 2010s, maybe some 70s, maybe some 60s if I feel in the mood. I would really love to do foreign stuff because I love foreign films. Well, it depends on the film, right? Like I would love to add some Kurosawa here or something, but I know it's older and Japanese. I know it's not for everybody, so I'm gonna probably just stick to English. However, I don't know. It depends, because if my mood strikes and I feel like watching something, I'll just, I'll put it in the calendar. Into the Wild, just because I went camping recently, and so I decided, you know what? I feel like watching something that's kind of has to do with the outdoors a little bit, and I was in that mood. And Into the Wild is a phenomenal film. Again, directed by Sean Penn. Emile Hirsch is the main character. There's a bunch of cameos in there, but all the soundtrack is made by Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. The Pearl Jam frontman. So there you go. Those are the movies that we'll be watching for the following. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Again, I have a pretty solid list here of movies. I'm excited to watch these. Let me just count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Roughly. So I got like 50 films over. So we already have a year's worth of content here. No, that's over 50. I didn't even count the 2010s. Whew. So we're good, guys. We're good. I was playing around with the idea of maybe doing it twice a week. I don't think I'll have the availability to it. for it. And again, this does take a lot of time, but whatever. Just so you know, this is what we will be doing for the foreseeable future. Okay, so let's begin with a little bit of movie trivia, right? Movie trivia, which is what probably most of you are here for. As I mentioned before, this week we're watching a 80s sci-fi movie, so the theme will be 80s sci-fi. All right? I also, it's a dystopian future. There's cyborgs in it, so I tried to lean to something that had to do with either dystopias or cyborgs, just so you keep that in mind. I don't even know if anybody's in the chat right now. I see some people there, but I don't know. Maybe I should fib a little bit longer in case you want to participate. I don't know. Let me think. Well, I guess I could tell you what the other movies are about. Nah, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go into the game. If there's nobody there to answer, there's nobody there to answer. So let's just begin. So first question, because again, this takes a while. And for some reason, this camera always heats up on me. So it's not going to last the entire hour. So we got to move here quick. Chuck Nillick, yay, trivia. All right, so we got somebody there on the chat. So, all right, here we go. Let's begin. First question. This one, honestly, it's Gus is here. All right, honestly, this one's not particularly easy, so best of luck to you. All right, in The Road Warrior, aka Mad Max 2. There's a gang of marauders trying to take over a fuel complex. I remember the movie, bad guys trying to take over the fuel complex. What is the name of the marauders' leader? All right, so what is the name of the leader of the group trying to take over the fuel complex that Max is trying to help them, defend? Think about it. And in fact, I got an image of the guy right here. This is the guy that we're talking about. What is that character's name? And again, I know it's not easy, but it is the name of the antagonist of the film. So I'll give you a little bit. I mean, for those of you who can't, Gus Becerra, Hughes. Nope. You're close, though. You're very close. For those of you who can't fish them, it's a dude that's wearing basically like a hockey mask, like the Jason mask, but it's made out of metal, and then just a bunch of S&M clothing. It's really weird. Humongous. There you go. Checking out the other guy. Yes, you got it, Gus Becerra. Humongous. Lord Humongous would have been, even better answer, but you got it. So let me just play that real quick for you. Boom. Next, we got an audio clip. All right, we're playing an audio clip. Your job is to guess what movie this audio clip is from. So now just let me triple check that I got things right here. All right, I don't want to play the wrong one because I have done that several times in a row. All right, so what movie is this audio clip from?
It was an accident. About an hour ago, a small jet went down inside New York City. The president was on board.
President of what?
That's not funny, Pliskin. You go in, find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
24 hours, huh?
I'm making you an offer.
Bullshit.
Straight, just like I said.
I'll think about it.
All right, what movie is that clip from? I'll play it again for you. All right, hopefully you could hear it. Hopefully everything's fine. Here we go again.
It was an accident. About an hour ago, a small jet went down inside New York City. The president was on board.
President of what?
That's not funny, Pliskin. You go in, find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
24 hours, huh?
I'm making you an offer.
Bullshit.
Straight, just like I said.
I'll think about it.
All right, Chuck Nillick, Independence Day, you are incorrect. Chris de Leon, Escape from New York. You got it. That was Snake talking right there. Great film. Let me play you the clip real quick. Again, I want to make sure that I'm not playing the wrong one because I tend to do that.
It was an accident. About an hour ago, a small jet went down inside New York City. The president was on board.
President of what?
That's not funny, Pliskin. You go in, find the president, bring him out in 24 hours, and you're a free man.
24 hours, huh?
I'm making you an offer.
Bullshit.
Straight, just like I said.
I'll think about it.
There you go. Escape from New York. Great film, by the way. A lot of fun. I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I feel like his voice is, the Kurt Russell thing that he's doing. I felt like it was recognizable enough. Anyway, moving on. We are doing now question number 3. Okay. In the Terminator, I feel like this was pretty easy, but okay. In the Terminator, from what year did the Terminator and Kyle Reese travel back in time from? All right, so you guys remember, movies, basically it's about sending Terminator to kill John Connor's mom and sending Kyle Reese to defend John Connor's Sarah Connor. So from what year did they travel back from? They're being sent from the future. So what year were they being sent from? All right, the Terminator. What year are the Terminator and Kyle Reese being sent from? Think about it. Think about it. I'll give you a little bit. Gus Becerra 2030. No, but you're close. You're close. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So, incorrect. Think about it. I mean, you gotta keep in mind when this movie came out. You gotta keep in mind kind of the age of John Connor and the in the following films. I guess could be easier. What year were they sent from? Gus. All right, so you basically just spammed everything, Gus Becerra, and you did get one correct. You got one correct. So it's 2029. I almost say that's cheating, but whatever, it's fine. 3000. No, 3000 doesn't make any sense. John Connor would be too old. Come on, man. This is serious game. Next, we got another audio clip. All right, you guys ready? Another audio clip. And let me just triple check. I feel like this one's super easy because it's kind of an iconic. It's an iconic clip, but here we go.
I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
All right, it gives me chills every time I hear it. I'll play it again for you guys. Again, I think it's pretty easy, but okay.
I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
All right. Anybody got any clues? This I think is one of the most iconic films. Chris de Leon, Neverending Story. Nope, not even close. Again, we're doing sci-fi here, and it's one of the most iconic movies I think from the 80s. Sci-fi movies from the 80s. It also has to do with robots. Anybody? All right, I guess I can play it one more time. So one more time, and then I'll just, you guys are done. So let me see. Time Traveler's Wife, you're incorrect, Gus Becerra, no.
I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
All right. Anybody? Ollie88, hi. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. Let's give it like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Tears in the Rain. Seriously? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, guess that didn't work. That was from Blade Runner. Blade Runner. It's the monologue from the villain. Tears in the Rain. I'll play the clip for you in case you've never seen it. Probably most of you haven't. Here we go.
I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
Phenomenal film. Highly recommended. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's watch the director's cut, by the way. It's a little complex at times. You know, Harrison Ford, dystopian future, cyborgs or androids, I guess. I recommend it. It's fun. It's a film noir. It's a sci-fi film noir. I recommend it. And now we're moving on to the final question. and this one's a classic. All right, if we're talking 80s sci-fi, we got to talk Star Wars, right? Because name a more iconic cyborg. Name one. I dare you. And Cyborg from, DC is nowhere near as famous as Darth Vader. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, Darth Vader is a cyborg. He fits the definition. So, Cyborg, Chris DeLeon, Dan, and I have Blade Runner on DVD. See? Dude, come on, man. Get your act together, Chris DeLeon. Anyway, so this is a Star Wars question, all right? It's a little tricky. I'll give it to you because it's Star Wars, it's Empire Strikes Back. It's too iconic, so the question had to be a little bit hard, all right? So here we go. How many people does Darth Vader kill in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back? All right? And I'm not saying how many did he order, go and shoot these. I mean the people that he had a direct hand in killing, all right? How many people does Darth Vader directly kill in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back? Think about it. Think about the movie. Think about what Vader does. Gus Becerra, 1. Nope, you're incorrect. Think about it. What are the things that Vader's doing in this particular movie? What are the plot points? Gus Becerra, 2. All right, well, yes, you got it. Listen, I'm gonna have to start putting in some rules here for the answers, but yeah, you got it. He kills 2 people. So I'll break it down. 0. No, you already got it. It's 2. Darth Vader chokes Admiral Ozzel and Captain Needa to death. All right. So Admiral Ozzel because he came out of hyperspace too early, and Captain Needa because he lost the Falcon. So there you go. He only killed his own people. So I mean, Darth Vader only killed bad guys in The Empire Strikes Back. So then keep that in mind. So there you go. That was movie trivia for this week for Underrated Gems. Now we will move on to breaking down the film Robocop, as I mentioned, and few themes for this movie. All right, you got to keep in mind, was made in the 80s, and I told you kind of to see it's a dystopian future, so kind of try to bear in mind what things they got correct and what they didn't. So the main theme here in this movie, and there's not a lot of them because it's an action movie at heart. So the main theme is man versus machine, which, goes to the humans being replaced by machines. Would robots make better cops than actual humans? It's a battle of the old versus the new. And as always, with anything that has to do with cyborgs, is what makes a human a human. Now, again, this movie at its heart is an action movie, so it doesn't really go too deep into what makes a human, not nowhere near as deep as they go in Ghost in the Shell, where they go very deep into asking the question of what makes a human. But here they play around with it a little bit. Not too much because it would be too deep. But, okay, let's see. Gus Becerra, yeah, you got... How many did you get this time? 2? I don't know, 3, because you also got Humongous. All right. You got 3. You won, so... Good for you. All right, so let's get into it. Let's begin with Robocop. Let's move on to the big screen here. So, let me get the audio here. All right, so remember, rules for this stuff, because the streams keep getting taken down, and it's really annoying for me. No clips more than 20 seconds. Keep that in mind. I'll keep things short, and hopefully, that's enough to make things interesting. So the movie begins with actually seeing a little bit of media. And the media's purpose here is basically they want to explain what type of world this is, and they say that there's the threat of nuclear war in South Africa, and that the president was in space, and that his first freaking press conference was a complete failure. So
when power failed, causing a brief but harmless period of weightlessness for the visiting president and his staff.
All right, so basically what they're telling us there is, yes, this is futuristic, and yes, this is dystopian. All right, there's the threat of nuclear war on the planet while, the leader's in space. So it's just a very easy way of them telling us it's dystopian sci-fi. There you go. So then that leads to a little bit of commercial from, medical advancements, and then we get shown basically the villain of the movie, but we don't know at this point. But they also tell us something very important, that the head of the company, or at least there's a company called OCP, Omni Consumer Products, and they are currently in a contract to fund and run local law enforcement. So Detroit is a mess, and the people who are in control of the police are actually a private company. So, again, that's kind of what we found out there very quickly in just a quick 2-3 minute news clip. All right, next we find chaos in the freaking police station. Cops still trying to do their job, not working. There's a new guy that comes in, Alex Murphy.
Nice precinct. Yeah, pretty good. Work for a living down here, Murphy.
All right, so we learned that Murphy got transferred from the nicer part of town. And again, you need to keep in mind, Detroit kind of sucks. So, and here it's going to be difficult because there's a bit of nudity, so I'm going to try to skip it real quick. Hopefully none of it is caught. All right. And we find that the police are clearly not happy with the way that things are being run in this particular station, and that they're considering even striking. Hopefully this is good.
It's over on the east side.
You try to get back up.
Nope. That's, damn it, stupid clips. Anyway, police officer got killed. Everybody's upset. Turns out there's a lot of, there's a group of people killing cops. There's one guy particularly, Red Foreman. You guys might know him from That 70 Show, Red Foreman, the actor, who's killed over 30 cops. So the police force is tense. Things aren't working. So it wasn't working before, and they're really upset with the way that OCP is running the police station. Again, I'm sorry I had to skip that whole thing, but again, nudity, YouTube, it's annoying, but whatever.
Maybe given to Cecil as usual. And I don't want to hear any more talk about strike. We're not plumbers. We're police officers. And police officers don't strike.
All right, so they're considering striking, and that's going to be a very important thing throughout the movie. The police officers are unhappy with the current situation. They're considering striking. Crime is out of control in Detroit. So Detroit went to shit. Who would have thought? Yes, this, again, you need to keep in mind, I guess a little bit of historical context. Detroit was, I think, at one point, like the richest, most profitable city in the U.S. They had all the auto industry down there. Then they tried to do a thing called the Model Cities program, and Detroit basically went to shit afterwards. And so they were just looking at what's the next logical step that's going to happen. That's Detroit's going to keep turning into shit. It's going to be turning into a total hellhole. That's pretty much what they did, and that's what they show in this movie. So let's move on here. We're introduced to Officer Lewis, I remember. So there's a... All right, so a cop beats up a dude basically right in the middle of the station, and so they're introduced. That's how they introduce Officer Lewis, and you're like, okay, Officer Lewis can kick ass. Good to know. So she's an officer that doesn't take crap. All right, let's move on. Talk about strong female characters. They introduce each other. Murphy turns out is going to be the new partner for Officer Lewis. And now keep in mind this particular question that I will answer further on in the film. Why are we following a newly transferred cop? All right. What is the purpose of making the main character a newly transferred cop? All right. Why couldn't it have been an older cop? You guys know what the movie's about. You know how what happens. Why Murphy? All right. Keep that in mind. It will be answered later on. It will make sense, but it's fun to ask these questions. So they show their little bit, breaking in their rapport and stuff. And very importantly, we get to see how Murphy drives. Now, I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's basically showing us this character's behavior that will be later shown again when he's in robot form. And that's the purpose of that. So they're giving us bits and pieces. Next, we get to see a little bit of the hot shots from OCP and them trying to guess what the next big thing is going to happen. And we get to learn two basic, very important things from this conversation. One, that something big is happening. And two, that this guy, Bob Orton, really has problems with the senior president, Dick Jones. All right? I guess we learned three things. There's the head of the company, who's the old man. Literally, that's the name of the character, the old man. Then there's Dick Jones, who's the senior president, and this guy Bob Orton has a lot of issues with this guy, and he wants to be able to access the old man directly so that he could maybe get a project greenlit. So we go to the meeting. I guess I can play a little bit of the meeting here.
A dream which I've invited you all to share with me. In 6 months, we begin construction of Delta City.
All right. Okay. That's one of the most important plot points of the movie. David Martinez, thank you for joining us. Don't worry, you just missed out on the trivia. And I'll keep playing this clip a little bit. Again, I'm pausing it because, you know, YouTube is stupid.
Where old Detroit now stands. Old Detroit has a cancer. The cancer is crime. And it must be cut out before we employ the 2 million workers that will breathe life into this city again.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So that's what OCP wants. They're building a new city. In order to build a new city, they need to destroy old Detroit. And in order to do that, they need to get rid of the crime in that area. So in order to get rid of the crime, that's probably why they took over the police, but it's really not working out in one way or the other. But their objective is we're bringing in 1 million people to work here, 2 million people to work here. We need it to be safe, otherwise they won't come here or be crazy expensive. That's the biggest part of the movie that you need to understand if you're talking about the motivations of OCP or their objective. So then the Dick Jones dude is starting to do a presentation in which he says that, all right, well, in order to prevent crime, we're going to do a new kind of law enforcement. And he shows ED 209, which is a giant mech, basically. Well, not a giant mech, like a... You can see it for yourself, I guess. It's a stop motion mech. And actually, the stop motion is pretty good. The way that they handled it, the way that it looks, it's actually pretty cool. Edited, it's fun, but it's basically, imagine like a walker from Star Wars. ATST, is that what they're called? It's the two-legged one, and so that's what it looks like. And so Dick Jones wants to do a presentation here, and so here we go. All right.
Mr. Kinney, use your gun in a threatening manner. Point it at Ed 209.
Yes, sir.
It needs to be pointed out that they have an actual live gun right there with ammo.
Please put down your weapon.
All right. So, point is, thing malfunctions, and it's not. It doesn't stop when it should.
Physical force.
Ends up killing that dude. So that dude's dead, and everybody's in shock. The president's super pissed because he's gonna lose $500 million in interests because they won't be able to begin construction if the city's not safe. And so Bob Orton takes this opportunity to push the Robocop program. Here we go.
Program developed by myself at Security Concepts as a contingency against just this sort of thing.
Thank you for your concern, Mr. Morton. I'm sure this is something we
Now,
can
wait
take
a
up in
minute.
my office at a more...
Maybe what we need here is a fresh perspective. Tell me about your plan, Mr. Morton. How long...
All right. So basically, again, I hate that I can't put the whole clips, but whatever. He's pushing the Robocop program. So now we know who's the head of the Robocop program, and we know that puts him at odds with Mr. Dick Jones here. Moving on, we also find out that this dude is not a nice guy. He's kind of a total a-hole. So.
I'm looking for you. Oh, fuck Jones. He fumbled the ball and I was there to pick it up. Too bad about Kinney, huh? It's life in the big city.
All right. Kinney is the guy who just got shot in front of them. It was actually his friend. If you guys remember the first scene that he's introduced, there's 3 guys in the elevator. That was the 3rd guy. He got killed. And this guy's like, oh, well, that's life in the big city. So clearly not a nice guy either, all right? Everybody in this city apparently appears to be filled with, but appears to be a bunch of a-holes. So, let's continue. We get to see one of Murphy's other little ticks, and that's he likes playing around with his gun, twirling it around like a cowboy. Why they have this little conversation about, we find out that he has a kid, and his kid likes it when a TV character does it. He also thinks it's cool, blah, 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 partner bonding. And again, they're showing us kind of his, not ticks, but behavioral things that he does. I guess tick wouldn't be the right one. They hear about robbery that happened, and they go into pursuit, right? So here we're introduced to the bad guys, or the thugs, the muscle. We get to see that they're actually kind of, you know, evil. Really evil and brutal. But it's basically just a whole, like, a fight scene. Shooting each other, blah, blah, blah. Not again, it's action, so when it's action, I'm just pretty much going to skip it, because there's not much to show you there. It ends up with them finding them at a old steel mill. I'll play this clip.
Well, you call it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so they've been told that they're not going to get any backup for at least 20 minutes. And the last time that they told them they were going to get backup was 15 minutes. So here, Murphy asks Lewis, it's your call. So she's going to pick what they're going to do, and she says, let's do it. Keep that in mind afterwards, that this was her decision. She chose to make this call. They go in, and things are immediately not going well, and Lewis kind of appears to be an idiot, but I'll just play the whole clip for her.
Freeze.
All
Okay.
right.
Let's see those hands.
So she catches a bad guy taking a leak, right? Just so you know, that's what that clip was a little bit, and I'll keep playing the audio.
Nice and easy.
Sure. Mind if I zip this up?
All right. Sorry, that's just funny. That's just fun filmmaking. For those of you who couldn't see it, Lois was trying to arrest the guy in the middle of taking a leak. So she tells him, like, hands up. Basically, guy turns around while they're making eye contact, and he's like, hey, can I zip it up? And Lois takes her eyes off of his to, you know, look at the guy's dick, and she ends up getting knocked out. So, and not just knocked out, she gets knocked off to the ground level. But that's honestly, just funny. That's just stupid. It's fun. Afterwards, Murphy finds another dude. Let me see. I guess it's here.
Don't move. Go ahead and do it. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me. Remember that one. That's actually a pretty good line from the movie. So Murphy's got a guy get dead to rights, and then turns out there's more bad guys around, and his backup's nowhere to be found because she just, you know, got sucker punched by a dude with his dick out. But
Put your hands on your head.
anyway, dude, point is, here, dude gets caught, and the bad guy comes out. He starts, you know, trying to get information from him, but turns out they don't really care because they think that Lewis is already dead. And this leads to the guy basically what they're showing us is that the bad guys here are brutal, seriously brutal, and it's one of, like, honestly, like, the hardest to watch scenes that I remember watching when I was growing up. When you rewatch it, it's not really as brutal, but back in the day, this was gnarly, the way that they just turned this guy into ceviche. So basically,
You probably don't think I'm... See, I got this problem. Cops don't like me, so I don't like cops.
oh, it's too long. I can't play it. I already know it. It's too long. Let's see. Ah, damn it. All right, I'll play it. I'm sorry, guys. Stupid Red Foreman. The hand getting blown up thing. All right. Basically, what happens is they end up unloading 4 shotguns on this guy. It's brutal, but he's still alive. He's still, for some reason, is still kicking. And so Red Foreman, his name's Clearance, but I'm just going to keep calling him Red. Red walks up to him and puts a bullet in his brain. Then they walk out. Lois calls the cops. Well, she calls for backup and medical evac. They end up trying to save him. No, it doesn't really work out. Dude's life's flashing before his eyes. It's actually pretty well made.
What's our blood pressure?
And then turns out they couldn't save him. Fade to black. Guy's dead, right? Calling it dead. And now here we get, this is kind of where the movie really starts, or the more interesting parts of the movie begin. And it's the transition period. All right, the turning him into a cyborg, which is actually pretty cleverly made. because instead of having to show things, they do a first-person view thing. It's actually pretty good. And I honestly, like, all the first-person stuff that they show in this movie, I think is particularly great. I'll just play you a little bit here, so you can see how they are enhancing him, per se.
It's starting to roll.
Still rolling.
Ah, shit!
Let me see here. Bring in the LED. Lock it down.
See, that saves you a lot in budget, what they did right there. Because having to show the machine going, all that stuff, it would be pretty expensive. The way they're doing it saves you a lot of money. And again, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It aged pretty well. Like, they depend more on costumes and on makeup than on anything else. And or in special effects. Well, like CGI stuff. I guess I think it aged pretty well. And they're teasing now things that you're going to see. Like, for example, his arm.
Laminated with Kevlar.
Go ahead. Shake his hand.
Come here, officer. Where you going? Oh! God. It's got a hell of a grip.
It's 400 foot-pounds.
All right. So they're starting to tease how he's going to look like. So the whole thing, the whole objective of watching this is to make the audience want to see him. All right? That's why they're delaying it bit by bit, and they'll tease certain things here and there, but it's all basically a big buildup of you wanting to see the end result. Let me see. And here again, little bits and pieces. On the screen right there, you can see it. And now we go into action, and this is kind of the big reveal, right? The police officers, they bring him to the station, they're setting everything up, and they get to see him for the first time. And not just them, it's us too.
What is this shit?
All right, so every time they're seeing a little bit more, they're releasing a little bit more, they're building up the, oh my God, so you can actually get a clear look. It's fun. It's just enjoyable. And here you finally get like a clean look at the guy, right?
Yes, I understand.
And they explain kind of how it works, how his digestive system works, the tracking system. And again, here, check out the CGI. Well, not CGI, but the effects at the time that I think hold up pretty well.
Grid.
Got it?
There. Target. Target. Now follow. Voice stress analyzer. 1, 2, 3.
See, that's honestly, like, I think that holds up pretty well. As I was rewatching the movie, I was like, this doesn't feel old or dated in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it does feel a little bit older than stuff that we've seen, but if you're talking about a dystopian futuristic movie, I think it holds up pretty well. And here we learn about his prime directives. And the prime directives are 3 simple rules that he has to follow, right? Okay, I couldn't get the clip where he says it, so I'll just tell it to you. Rule number 1, serve the public trust. Number 2, protect the innocent. Number 3, uphold the law. But we also find out something else.
Very good.
And they show it, where is it? Right here. There's a directive number 4, and that's classified. All right, so they're giving you a hint. You're supposed to be paying attention to the screen. So we know that there's 3 for sure. There's a hidden 4th, and we know that these guys don't know it, because otherwise they probably would have reacted to it. But there you go. Next, we get to see him shooting a little bit, and Lois gets her first look. Well, first off, we find out that Lois is still alive, and she gets her first look at Robocop and him shooting his big gun. And how freaking good he is at shooting. Anyway, what she sees is Robocop doing the whole gun twirly thing that she'd seen Murphy do before, and this triggers some kind of memory for her. And you need to remember, Lois kind of feels a little bit guilty that Murphy died because it was her call to not wait for backup. Stuff like that. So, next we get to see Robocop go out in action, and here we see him driving for the first time. As you can see, the exact same thing that he did, that Murphy did before, the way he drove, Robocop is doing it now. So what is this telling us? All right, what's the reason? Why am I pointing it out? Why did I point out the gun thing? Why did I point out the way that he's driving? It's that the behaviors that he had as a man, not the robot, are still the same behaviors. So they might have changed certain things. They might have erased his mind. They might have erased a whole bunch of different things. So they thought they grabbed a blank slate or grabbed the slate and painted it white and started painting over it, you know? But there's something there. There's giving us hints, bits of hints and pieces that there's still the man still inside. So that goes to the theme of, again, man versus machine. Which one's going to win out? Is the machine going to overpower the man's mind, or not? Man versus machine, if you continue, it's, well, clearly this machine is a better shot than everybody else. But how can they do a better job than the cops? Let's figure it out. And I guess we can continue. We get to see him stop his very first crime. And it's a dude trying to, knock over a store. And it doesn't end. All right, stops a robbery. Doesn't have to kill anybody. There you go. It's quick. It's efficient. Nobody got hurt other than the perp, which nobody cares about. Moving on to save number 2. A girl's about to be raped by some dudes. Robocop shows up. Dude pulls a knife on the girl, has her as a hostage.
He's gonna kill her! He's gonna kill her, man! He's gonna kill her!
Robocop literally shoots his dick off, saves the girl. The other dude, they surrender. So again, quick, efficient. Nobody got hurt other than the criminal, who again, nobody cares about if the criminal gets hurt. The girl's happy. So who's being a better cop? All that stuff. Man versus machine. Keep those things in mind. Finally, there's a hostage situation. There's a dude who takes over City Hall, and he has, the mayor as a hostage. Robocop walks in while the humans are outside trying to distract him. We learn that Robocop has thermal vision, and
Serious now! I kissed the mayor's ass goodbye!
Robocop saves the mayor, stops the other guy. No hostages again got hurt. Quick, clean, efficient, all that stuff. So we're seeing at this point, they showed us 3 examples of Robocop being awesome, right? Being the best cop, being a super cop, essentially. And they show us a little clip of little kids actually love Robocop. So the people love him. He's good at his job, all that stuff. They also throw us, clips of how, honestly, the world kind of sucks. There's a revolution going on in Mexico. That's actually pretty funny. So this is a press conference from Bob Norton talking about, the success of Robocop.
Norton, Vice President, Security Concepts, OCP.
I'm afraid I can't comment on Delta City. That's not my division. But I will tell you this. At Security Concepts, we're projecting the end of crime in Old Detroit within 40 days. There's a new guy in town. His name's Robocop.
All right. They're projecting the end of crime in 40 days in Detroit, and it's all because they added Robocop. Keep that in mind. That's a tall order, but still, because of one guy, crime in Detroit is going to stop. And crazy levels of crime. But anyway. So Bob's actually pretty high on himself, and he starts talking shit about Dick Jones. And turns out that Dick Jones was actually there to hear it. And Dick Jones then afterwards, threatens him, basically.
And you've insulted this company with that bastard creation of yours. I had a guaranteed military sale with Ed 209. Renovation program. Spare parts for 25 years. Who cares if it worked or not?
All right, so they show you that Dick Jones is a dick, total dick. So basically he's just cared about money, selling parts that clearly didn't work to the military because, whatever, just money. This dude's like the evil version of capitalist, right? He doesn't care about the results. For all his faults, for Bob Morton, at least he cared about, results. So there you go. Gets threatened. And here, Robocop has a nightmare. The nightmare is basically giving him Flashes of his death. Oh, by the way, I forgot the previous scene. The previous scene is a perfect example of old versus new. All right, new is trying to take over the old. The old is not taking it lightly. All right, and old versus new could also be machine versus man, but in that case, it's clear if I say it old versus new and how they clash. Anyway, Robocop's having nightmares of his death, and he decides to just get the hell out of there. So we go into the whole thing of the man is trying to break through the machine. He's trying to get out of there. He's trying to take control. And by the way, there's a point I forgot to mention this because it happens while they're doing the shooting, and I was here. I read it on my notes. One of the cops says they're trying to replace us. So they're trying to replace them with Robocop, and that's a concern to them. And which is funny if you think about the world today. Right now, our concern is we're going to be replaced by machines. We're going to be replaced by AIs. Truckers are going to be replaced by self-driving cars. Cashiers are being replaced by machines. Everywhere and anywhere, people are worried about being replaced. Lawyers are being worried about being replaced by AI. Doctors to be replaced by AI. So it's a concern that's been going on since the 80s and way before that. And it goes again, man versus machine. And kind of the perfect middle in between, which is Robocop, which is a man machine. Take that however you want. But Lois takes an opportunity to talk to him, and that's how it goes.
I'm Ann Lewis. Do you have a name?
How can I help?
She asks for a name. Robocop stops because he has to think about it if he has a name. Which he doesn't against his Robocop, but...
Hello, Officer Lewis.
It's not really what I meant. Don't you have a name? Murphy. It's you.
All right. Now, here's kind of an important part of this movie that I thought... that again, I forgot because I went through a scene really quickly. Why was Murphy a newly transferred officer? So what was the purpose of having the main character be a newly transferred officer? Because they didn't actually show us how the precinct worked or anything like that. It could have literally been anybody. Just a cop that got shot and they took over his dead body. Well, it's because that way the people in that precinct don't recognize him. The only person who recognizes him is Lewis, because Lewis is the one that spent the most time with him. She saw the whole hand thing, and so that's why nobody else recognizes the guy, and that's why he was there was the reason why they used an officer that wasn't from there. That's the reason. That's the main reason. Because imagine if, I don't know, you worked with Jimmy for 10 years. Jimmy gets shot dead, and all of a sudden Jimmy walks in as a robot and doesn't remember anything. You'd be really upset as a police officer. So it shows you basically just how kind of evil, not evil, but let's just say the level of things that they consider down in OCP that are kind of dark. Anyway, so this leads to Lois being in trouble because she spoke to him, and apparently she's not supposed to talk to him, and Robocop just busted out of there, and Morton's kind of upset.
He's got a program. He's product. Is that clear?
Sure. I say we pull him in, run a systems check for
Take
works.
a week, maybe 10
Wait, you
days.
want to take him offline because he had a dream? What are you kidding? Let's get out of here. Listen, Reed, try and keep one thing in mind. This project doesn't concern cops. It's classified. It's OCP. You got it, mister?
All right, so the dudes are being dicks, basically. All right, and we find out the way that they look at Robocop. And here Robocop encounters one of the bad guys that killed him, right? And he kind of suffers a malfunction because of it.
You're dead. We killed you. We killed you. We killed you.
Anyway, he freezes up. Again, the man trying to break through the machine, all that stuff. Eventually, he stops the guy and he gets some information from him. Well, enough information that he goes into the system, starts hacking it, finds the information of all the bad guys that killed him, and finds information about himself, more importantly. So he decides to go check out his house. He goes through his house, and again, showing us how his house used to be in his memories versus how it is now, old versus new, stuff like that. And we get hints of personality, all that stuff. Let me see. Where are you? Okay, so he's researching his past life. And you can see the memory looks normal, while the present and the robot first-person view looks distorted. Again, it's seeing the world through the eyes of the robot and not the eyes of the man, or what's reality, what's not, all that stuff. Yeah, you know, it's fun. Again, this movie's pretty simple. Okay, and so that kind of makes him start his hunt. You know, he's gonna go and catch all the other bad guys. He finds one. Stops him like he's nothing and starts questioning him for information. Easy stuff. Then we get to see Morton with some hose and some blow, who gets visited by none other than Red Foreman.
Bitches leave.
And here we find out that Red, you know, the bad guy, is actually working for Dick Jones.
Pathetic. You don't feel so cocky now, do you, Bob?
Whatever he's paying you, I'll double it right now.
You know what the tragedy is here, Bob? We could have been friends.
All right, so we find out that for some reason Red Foreman is working for Dick Jones. We don't clearly understand why, but we're starting to see who the big bads are here. And long story short, they kill the poor Bob Norton, and Red starts doing a drug deal in this between. Honestly, this is really irrelevant, but they're doing a drug deal, and Robocop walks in the middle of it, right? And so we see him in the middle of a gunfight. Be just, you know, unstoppable. And that's the first guy he kills in the movie. So he starts... At this point, he hadn't really been, you know, using lethal force. Now he started using lethal force. He starts taking down everybody, and by everybody I mean literally everybody. Red tries to run away, but it's not working out.
Silent.
Fuck you. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute! I'm protected, man. I've got protection.
You have the right to an attorney?
What is this shit?
All right, I'm just
There's another guy.
All right, as you can hear, Red Foreman is claiming that he has protection. All right. Again, I'm interrupting just simply so that the stream doesn't get taken down.
He's OCP. He's the senior president.
Anything you say may be used against you.
It's Dick Jones.
All right, so Red Foreman just told Robocop, you know, who his boss is, basically. And Robocop wants to kill Red Foreman, but he doesn't. He remembers, no, I'm a cop. I don't do this. The cops still want to strike for some reason, and...
We didn't think you should know there was a strike vote last night.
We lost 5 guys last week.
We're getting creamed out there, Reed.
All right, so the guys, again, cops want to strike. Robocop just arrested a cop killer, and...
Just give me my fucking phone call.
And Red Foreman wants to call his lawyer. Then we find out who the phone call is. It's actually to Dick Lewis, and Dick Lewis is like, don't worry about it. I'm sorry, Dick Jones. Sorry, Dick Jones is like, hey, don't worry, our lawyers will handle it. And Robocop decides to go pay Dick Jones a visit. The visit doesn't really go particularly well.
Trouble?
You better take me in.
I will.
And as expected, here we find out that objective number 4 means that he can't arrest any senior OCP members, which would make, you know, Dick Jones one of those guys. So he can't go against them in particular. And so Dick Jones like, oh, well, sucks for you. This is why, I killed Morton, and now I'm going to destroy his faulty product, which is you. So he brings out Ed 209 to blast his brains out, basically. Robocop versus giant robot. And Robocop is clearly outmatched. I mean, you get to see this fight. He's kind of surviving, but he's not particularly winning until he reaches some stairs. And this is when the movie gets kind of silly. Well, it's a failure of design because Ed cannot use stairs, which is actually honestly kind of funny. All right, it goes downstairs hard. Turns out it can't operate stairs, which is silly. But Robocop comes out and he's faced by pretty much the whole entire police precinct, and they just start blasting the guy. They blast him. He manages to escape out of there barely, and Lois comes to his help. So they get the hell out of there after, the entire police station just unloaded on him. And so you have to keep in mind here that at this point is what we would call, in terms of the story, the darkest night. So this is the lowest point our character is going to reach. From this point, he has to make a decision if he's going to go forward or not. But just, so it's clear. Let me see. Red is one of those people who looked 60 years old since he was 40. Thankfully, now that he's 70, he still looks 60. Yeah, that is true. The dude looks exactly the same. Anyway, they get out of there. We get to hear some news that 2 former presidents were killed due to a military malfunction. And now that we've heard that the people from OCP don't really care about things malfunctioning, it's starting to make sense. We get to see the police officers are officially going on strike. This is their last day. And Red Foreman calmly walks into the office of Dick Jones, basically. And Dick Jones is like, listen, he's still alive, and he's got you on tape making a confession, you idiot. So go out there and kill him. And Red Foreman is like, fucking make me. Why should I? So Dick Jones is like, hey, listen, we're about to start building a new city here. That we're going to have 1 million workers, and you can sell drugs to all of them. You'll be in control of everything. It'll be like a fresh new market for you. And Red Foreman is like, all right, cool. And so you have to wonder, what's the relationship between these two guys? And the relationship is that Dick Jones is using Red Foreman, to make the crime go up so that the real estate value goes down so they can buy land for cheaper, which is really fucked up and really dystopian. But if you think about it, something very similar happened in New York very recently. Like, I believe it was during COVID. The mayor of New York, I forget his name, but it was the dude who's a giant weirdo. Mayor of New York. They were buying real estate for the government. And so here it's a public company. It's not Adams. So basically they were buying buildings for cheap, and they were going to use them for housing and stuff like that. And it's one of those things you're like, isn't this like exactly the plot of Robocop? You make crime go up like crazy so that real estate goes down so that you can buy it on the cheap. All right, okay. Either Robocop gave him the idea, or they they predicted this. But all right, they just got the city wrong. De Blasio. All right, yeah, De Blasio was the guy who did that. Anyway, so Red Foreman is like, all right, if I'm going to stop this guy, I need major firepower. So they offer him guns. Next, we get to see Robocop doing some repairs, and he wants to see his face again. So he takes off the helmet. And here is something pretty interesting, that he starts talking about his family. Now, let me just find this note real quick. All right, let me see.
Well, after the funeral.
Oh, he asks about his family. Lois tells him that the wife moved away. She started over her life. Let me see if I can get the line.
I can feel them. But I can't remember them.
All right. I can feel them, but I can't remember them. That's actually pretty important. And it goes into one of the deeper themes of this movie. Again, the movie doesn't try to go too deep on any theme because it's at its heart is an action movie. But I can't remember them. So I've mentioned this quote before. It's a quote from Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'll just tell it to you really quickly. Are the memories we share with the people we love our only true connection to them? All right, so are humans, our loves, are our bonds only strictly memories? Do we only care about people because we remember bits and pieces, because we have shared memories? Here, what this movie's clearly saying, or what they're saying, is that in spite of not having the memories, you still have the emotion. So the man is a machine. If you erase the memory of the machine, doesn't really matter. But they can't erase the emotions, the feelings of the man. So the man is still there. It's still, they might have just, tried to use a dead body or whatever and erased his memories and all that stuff. But the core emotions, the heart of the man is still there. So in this case, it's man versus machine. Man is clearly winning. The emotion, the heart is clearly winning. It's managing to break through little by little, but every single time it's starting to break through. It's starting to break through. And that's kind of what they're doing there, which is fun. So next we get to see the bad guys, start using the new guns. And here we get to see the results.
Whoa, a new toy!
Honestly, it looks like a super cool gun. Like a big-ass sniper rifle.
Watch this.
Wait a minute, Clarence!
With a lot of fucking firepower. So, the bad guys just got a major upgrade, and they went Robocop hunting. So they also were giving the tracker to find out where Robocop was, and they started going after him. We also see that Robocop is having some issues centering his aim, and Lewis helps him, so, it's her being helpful and stuff like that. Their teamwork, their bonding, all that stuff. Bad guys show up, try to take him down. Robocop has the high ground, and let's just say the fight, and this is all just a fight. The fight sequence, and it's kind of going back and forth, except that Robocop clearly has the upper hand. Again, it appears that one of the sidekicks does something to bring down Robocop, not particularly successful. Lois is able to help take down the other guy, but Robocop eventually takes down Red Foreman and teaches him the lesson that Over and Martel would later learn when facing the mountain. When you got the upper hand and you got range, stay out of range. Otherwise, you will go down. So Robocop officially gets his revenge on this guy. He manages to get out from where he was and help Lois. Then he goes and he's gonna face Dick Jones face to face, but he has to take down Ed 209. Fortunately, he uses the big ass gun that the bad guys brought against him. So here's one of the flaws of the movie. The biggest flaw of the movie, in my humble opinion, that they never actually find a way to make a truly terrifying villain. So they make a really hateable villain. With Red Foreman, you're like, man, I hate that guy. He's evil. He's also a dick. So you really hate him, but he never actually feels like a true threat to Robocop. Now, clearly he was a threat to Murphy. And, he turned him into mashed potatoes. But he's never a true threat to Robocop, because Robocop is OP as fuck. Now, you could argue that that's kind of one of the points of the movie. However, as a guy who likes villains and who thinks that, the heel should not lose most of the fights, that's the big knock I put on this movie. And then facing Ed 209 and beating him, it's like it's nothing. All right. So Robocop busts into a meeting to arrest Dick Jones, and basically shows Dick Jones, teaches him the lesson that Dick Jones tried to teach Red Foreman about don't confess in front of a cyborg. They record everything.
Officer of this company.
These are serious charges. What is your evidence?
I had to kill Bob Morton because he made a mistake.
There you go. So, you caught him on video, and then, Dick Jones is like, all right, I'm taking this guy, the old man as hostage.
I will board the chopper with my hostage. Anybody tries to stop me, the old geezer gets it.
Dick. You're fired!
Thank you.
All right, so basically the old man fires Dick, and since he's no longer a senior officer at the company, Robocop can arrest him, or he can move against him. In this case, he shot him, and there you go. That's pretty much how the movie ends, right? It ends like this. Let me show you real quick. So the old man asks Robocop for his name.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name?
Murphy.
All right, Murphy. So in the end, the one that comes out on top is the man. The man is able to overcome the machine. He recovers his memories and all that stuff. So there you go. That's how the movie ends. It's at its core, it's an action film. So they try to keep things pretty simple, but I think the movie freaking aged really well. You know, for using stop motion and all that stuff, it aged really well, and it's mostly because the costumes are on point, the makeup is on point, and the audio is really cool. Every single time that Robocop is in scene, you can hear the So it's actually pretty good. Overall, it's a movie that ages pretty well. It's a theme that's relevant today. They don't go too deep into it. The concern of machines taking over the jobs of man, and whether or not they can do it better or not. Because clearly Robocop is a better cop than all the other cops. However, is he a better cop because he's a machine, or is it because he's a man enhanced by a machine? We go into that theme. Ghostbusters, the giant robot in 2 was actually scary. Yes. So did you watch the remake? If so, what do you think about it? I did not watch the remake because the remake was PG-13 or something. So it's like, dude, you can't make a Robocop movie and make it PG-13. Like, it has to be disturbing. The scene where they turn Murphy into mashed potatoes is very disturbing. I remember it to this day with dread. It's very disturbing and should be disturbing. Remake suck donkey testes. All right, there you go. Because you're wondering. So that's the movie, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you had fun. I did. I enjoyed going back to it. It's fun to see 80s movies that aren't dated. And it's hard when you're talking about sci-fi. This one feels like relatively okay. In fact, I think it fits better with all the old tech. I don't know, it makes it feel more real for some reason than if they tried to go too modern with it. I think that's why the modern one didn't work that well, especially because, you know, they wanted to make it PG-13. But they kept the core theme of this movie, man versus machine, going throughout. And then they threw in a little bit of other stuff on top, you know, about crime, about capitalism, about private companies taking over something and having power over government agencies. It's pretty interesting. That there's a really deep. There's several themes that are very deep in there that they don't really go into. So I think that's kind of the flaw of the movie. However, they do have sequels and they go deeper in the sequels. So I mean, you can look at it any way you want. Remakes like Lethal Weapon. Those writers had the right to strike. Chuck Nillick, I'm assuming you're the writers of the remake. Lethal Weapon. I love Lethal Weapon. However, I'm guessing you're assuming, are we going to do a Lethal Weapon one? Listen, I love Lethal Weapon. Okay. However, already have a lot of Mel Gibson movies here. I noticed that I have a bunch from the early 2000s. Like, hey, wait, this is a Mel Gibson movie. This is a Mel Gibson. All right, so maybe I'll give Lethal Weapon, you know, a break. Maybe some point afterwards. But so far, it's not on my list. All right, let's just leave it at that. It's not on my list currently. But there you go. That was underrated gems. Fortunately, my camera did not overheat this time. Hopefully, you enjoyed that. As always, like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out. Next week, as I mentioned before, we will be talking about... Let me just double check that I'm not messing it up. We will be watching Wind River. It's a great movie. It's a phenomenal film. I highly recommend it. Next Wednesday. All my shows have moved now to 5 p.m. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Otaku Tuesday, and Wednesday, Underrated Gems at 5 p.m. So hopefully you can join me if you want to do that. When they make remakes, they think simply better graphics will make it better. Yeah. It doesn't. They kind of missed the boat. Or, you know what? I'm not even going to get too deep into the remake stuff because I didn't see the remake. But I'm pretty sure I know where they fucked up. You're right, Gus. It doesn't work on movies nor video games. It works if the original movie was bad. If you're remaking a bad movie, it could work. But remaking a good movie is terrible. It's like freaking they remade Ben-Hur, one of the greatest movies of all time. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I think it's tied with Lord of the Rings with the Return of the King for the most Academy Awards. How dare you? How do you have the balls to try to remake that? But anyway, that's it. SDW Fantasy Football. I haven't got enough messages, so far no fantasy football yet. But as always, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.